Warning, the topics discussed in today's events are the perspectives and opinions of the ladies of Herview. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode from the Ladies of Herview Podcast, What Women Really Think. Today, we will touch on the history of mental health in the Black community, how it has impacted the entertainment industry, and the roles that it can have inside your relationship. It's your girl, Tay.
I'm Shawnee, your self-love enthusiast.
I am Ernie, the military wife coach.
And I'm Adrian, your favorite mental health counselor. And July is Minority Mental Health Awareness Month, so we're going to talk mental health, guys.
Let's do it.
So if you guys didn't know, B.B. Moore Campbell, this is who this month basically was dedicated after. She was a journalist, she was a mental health advocate, and she also was the mom of a daughter who suffered with bipolar disorder. So some of the stigmas around mental health are, that people with mental illness are crazy, that they're lazy, that they, there's
unstable.
Unstable, dangerous. So, what are some other things that you guys have heard that you would think would limit people from actually seeking help?
Self-medicating.
There it is.
I didn't hear you, Rennie.
Self-medicating. Some people are just like, oh, I just like to smoke weed, or and they don't realize that you're probably bipolar. You're probably something else that it helps, but it's just a mask.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, just like self-diagnosing yourself and just deciding like, this is anxiety. This is what I have. I'm just anxious. This is me. And it's like, that might not be it, sis.
I feel like a lot of that comes from also generational, right? If you or your parents handle situations that way, then of course, that's the first thing you're going to gravitate towards. If anytime your mom came home from a hard day at work, the first thing she does is pop open some wine every single day. That could be casual, and it's okay to have a glass of wine a day, but when it's becoming excessive, right? Now we know something's wrong. So we're the generation that's kind of oh no, we need, something's wrong. We need to, seek help. And I think that's, I think it's great. And there's so many people out here that's advocating for it. But also in our communities, have you noticed places to go to? Are there big signs plastered everywhere?
No, there isn't. Nope.
Not at all.
Yeah. So that I think that's a really big problem, because even for me, when I went to school for my master's in mental health, they asked you well, what is the reason that you want to do this field? And I'm I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really know too much about mental health and bipolar and anxiety and all of these things, because we weren't taught those things. And in my neighborhood, I can't really tell you the places to go to seek help if you are dealing with something, right? Because there's 13,000 liquor stores, but where's the mental health places that we can really go to? So I think that's something that also really has to change.
I agree with you, definitely, and especially about the generational curses of it, because a lot of times there'll be something wrong with a family member or something like that, and people will ignore it. And not wrong with that boy, he's fine. When he might have a learning problem or maybe something bigger than that. So I think a lot of times in the Black community, we kind of just kind of brush it to the side, it's okay, don't worry about it or whatever. And then they grow up with even more issues because nothing was really dealt with from when they were younger.
Right.
I was actually going to say the same thing as, being a mom, you see that kids have ADHD, and it kind of gives some, not all teachers, but it gives some teachers a pass to not deal with that child. It's oh, he's too much. So he got ADHD and we just going to leave him in the corner playing with himself. But moving forward, and then little Timmy don't know how to do multiplication, because instead of the teacher sitting down with the parents and having the conversations of resources and all that, he was just pushed along and pushed forward and moved out the way.
Yeah, Adrian, when you said like communities, I thought about my direct community and the community center. So when I was younger, there was one community center like in my neighborhood, but I remember, taking dance classes, karate, and like art there, but I can't remember if there was a sign or somebody that worked directly in that community center that said, if you are struggling, please come talk to me.
Right.
I feel like it doesn't have to be dramatic. Like, if you have mental illness, please come in this office. Like, just a check-in. How are you guys doing? Because within my neighborhood as well, I was 2 blocks away from the community center. And during that time, it was the Bloods and it was the Crips and it was the violence and all that stuff. So we had a lot of, don't walk by yourself late at night, walk with your brother. So those were things that if the community center was open on that level, that I could express. Like, I am nervous to come here every single day because before I get here, I have to deal with so much thing. It's only 2 blocks.
Right.
And that was when I was younger. So I can't even imagine like the OGs being there like, all right, like, can we protect our youth and make sure that they're traveling within their own neighborhood?
Right.
Well, you got to remember in our community too, our parents made us. We are kind of different as parents now, but our parents made us live by what goes on in my house stays in my house. So there was no outsource and no outreach to any, because first off, you ain't gonna have these people saying that you crazy.
Right.
One side, or the other side was, please play crazy so I can get a check.
Right.
So there's no real
talk that. Come on.
There's no real help. You know what I'm saying? So I can't tell you for sure, but I'm 99% sure there was no signs for genuine help.
Yeah.
With that, Ernie, being in school and being a teacher, there's so many different restrictions that we have that we can't. People think like, oh, well, just communicate with families about it. There's so many levels of like what to say, how to address a family. Even if we suspect someone dealing with something, we can't, it's not open enough to go to a parent. Like, I think that you should go to a counselor, or I think that you should talk about these problems. We have like strict things that we have to follow, even though the well-being around students sometimes are at risk. So it is hard for us as teachers to know if there's something serious. Yes, we mandated reporters and we will tell that. But if it's not something that's mandated, like we have, depression and anxiety, I want to be able to talk to my students and say, like, what's going on at home. And then I hear students sometimes say like, oh, I wasn't supposed to say that. Or like, I don't have my homework done because I have 5 other kids in the house and we didn't get home until this time. And then grandpa lives there, cousin lives there. And I'm like, it's okay. Like, take a deep breath, it will get done. So it really, I think sometimes we have to look at how to change that in a more productive way in order to have those avenues available for everyone to talk about freely.
Right.
Yeah. And I feel like also the good thing now is that because mental health is being put on front display, that they're starting to add mental health counselors to schools and licensed clinical social workers that can tackle these problems. But again, when it's, 400 kids to one counselor, that's a lot,
That's stressful.
You may not be able to counsel everyone thoroughly and give them what they need. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think that something should be done a little bit more. Whereas maybe the teachers can step in if they realize certain signs and certain things that are going on. But I definitely understand that, it's a struggle. And like you said, you have to be very cautious of what you say as well, because on the flip side, as a parent, they're not always receptive to hearing what you have to say. Right. If I'm saying that your child is, seems depressed, or if I'm saying that, he's not functioning well in school, well, my child is fine at home. So, it's like, all right, do you not? All right.
I think people have to get out of their own way. Stop being overly sensitive. Stop being embarrassed about these things. Because the sooner you get your child help, the better off your child gets. It's like any disease. Yeah. If you catch cancer early enough, you have a fighting chance. If you catch depression early enough, you have a fighting chance. And it's like, you're going to place your status or embarrassment level over what's best for your child. Like, how is that love to me? Like, I don't know. It's crazy.
Do you think that there should be an age limit or restriction? Because I teach 3rd grade and some of my kids are 7, 8, and 9, or 7 and 8, and they're medicated. And I'm like, oh, that's really, really young to be on some type of medicine. And then when they're controlled by the school, or if they don't take it before they leave home, or parents forget, I notice, and I know other teachers notice, and it's easy for us to say, oh, they didn't take their medicine, so it's going to be like a turn up. And I'm like, well, they're young, they're 7 and they're 8. How young can we push back medicating like our babies?
Yeah.
Well, I see a different side to that, because I did have a family member who was 15 at the time, and he actually went to a mental health facility.
Okay.
And I think the youngest person in that facility was like probably 5, because of the things that they had been through in their life. Like this 5-year-old, I don't think they were supposed to tell me none of this kid's business, but I was told this kid's business. And this kid was trying to kill people. So there's depending on the trauma that this individual child has seen, it may be very necessary. Like, because we don't think, we're like, oh, these are little precious babies, but unfortunately, people are subjecting their kids to things that our parents didn't subject us to. Of course, their parents. As technology gets better, I feel like parenting is starting to get worse. So it's playing, and that also is playing, because right now we got all these shows on Disney Channel, and my son talking about, I'm anxious. You're 5. Go sit down. You're not anxious. You saw that on Disney, right? So, I'm serious. Like, they have some serious, like, we had to ban Disney in our house. Like, we have to monitor what our kids are watching, because they got relationship issues. People are depressed. I'm like, where's Maya the bee at? Like, where's Mr. Rogers? Like,
go ahead.
No, go.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, when it comes to like the medication, there's a flip side to that too, right? Because some actually do need the medication, and some will just put their kids on the medication because it's easy.
Yeah. And
they check like whatever it is, and it's like some of the kids just really need the attention of their parent, the love, the support, like, you know, versus just saying like, okay, well, this is what you have, put them on this and make them take that and it'll be fine. And then it's like, you don't notice your baby in the corner just being quiet and rocking and not, you know what I mean? Like, that's not your kid. That's not your kid on medication.
Right.
And it's like, instead of like, even if they have to be on the medication and you notice like a drastic change, ask the questions. Is there a lower dose? Is there some, like, don't just let that be the end all be all for your kid. It's your kid.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like what Ernie and Shawnee both touched on to answer your question, Coach Tay, was really good, because there's no set in stone age, right? Because things happen at different ages for all of us. So yeah, I would personally prefer that children not be put on medication. But again, there are certain situations where that's the only way they're going to be able to function, right? But having the parent psychiatrist or parent mental health counselor relationship is super important. And you should want to be involved in everything that's going on with the child. Just like with regular medications for us, before I take anything, I make sure I always look at what the side effects are. Because you want to know, is your child going to be drowsy? Are they, you know, this is a big thing with medication. Are they gonna have suicidal ideations now? Like, you have to read into all of that stuff beforehand. You can't just say, oh, the doctor gave it to me, so then I know it's fine. No, advocate for your child. Advocate for your child. And I think that's just really important, taking the time to, you know, learn them and, you know, learn how to best help them, whether it's medication or whether it's sitting down and, you know, dedicating an hour to them if they have a learning disability. Like, maybe you guys have to find different activities to do with each other so that they can learn. But it's a process, and it's not an overnight thing. No. There's no judgment for doing what you have to do, but just advocate, make sure you're interested and really understand what's going on. Don't just, you know, let someone say, put them on 500 milligrams of this and just walk away. That's not right. Yeah, but, you know, also with DB Moore Campbell, so she has the daughter Maya Campbell, and she played on In the House.
Yep.
So that was, like that kind of plays out in front of the world because she has bipolar disorder, and there's like videos everywhere of her. Like videos of her at a gas station begging for money. There's videos of her like, what's that lady? Ayala? She went on her show even.
Oh, Ayala Van Zandt.
Yeah. So I think like being in the industry is a hard place as well, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're always in a public spotlight. So now not only is she dealing with this mental illness, but now she's dealing with it in front of everybody. And I think that sometimes because we're fans, we don't realize that they're humans as well.
Yes.
Like, so, and we're not treating them as humans because, like I said, there's videos of her at a gas station begging for money, and people are recording it laughing and asking her to do tricks and stuff in order to get the money. And it's like,
that's horrible.
This is a human being. Like, what are you doing?
That's humiliating.
And something that I was trying to battle with myself today is just thinking about the role that mental health has played in the industry. And I swear I was sitting in the car today going back and forth in my mind because is it, like people could say, well, it's 50-50. They signed up for this, right? They signed up to be in the public eye. This is what comes along with the industry. And I ask myself, is it that you signed up to live out your dream and your passion, and then you're required to live with mental health? We all deal with it every single day or once in our life on a small scale. So imagine being in the public light, dealing with these issues. You can't personally say, I would do this if I was in this situation, or I would do this the way that you will handle it, because you don't know how you will handle it. You don't know exactly what you would do. So I really had to take a look and pull back and imagine like what that would be like. And we won't be in their shoes. We would never be in their shoes. And we shouldn't, like you said, put them stigmas and stereotypes out there, because as we see, money doesn't buy happiness.
No. Let's be clear also, she kind of came from money because both of her parents were basically a bit well off. Mm-hmm. And if we look at the timeline of her life, her mom passed in 2006 and her father passed in 2012. Like the people that probably grounded her, that had her secret and made sure she was okay, are now gone. And she has no siblings. So it's her in the world by herself. She just has her baby.
Yeah.
And she got divorced in the midst of all that too. So it's like, there's a lot of life situations and nobody like grounding her anymore. Like, that's sad. Anybody can go through it.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, her mother was her caretaker, right? Like her mother said anywhere that she went, her daughter was right there with her. So I can't imagine, first of all, I can't imagine being without my mother, period. But then to have to go through something like this. And then you have people who reached out, like I heard LL, he reached out and was like, hey, I'm willing to help you. And she was like, no. So again, it's like, it's a battle. Even if you have a family member who needs help, if they decline your help, like don't take it personal. Like, oh, I tried to help and everybody's not there. Like sometimes it may like you ask them 3 or 4 times. It may take them hitting rock bottom where they're like, no, I have to do something. But we can't be the ones that, want to turn away because they said no. Like, you're not the one dealing with it. Like, calm down.
Right. I was watching an episode of Blackish. I don't know if y'all seen it. When the wife, Bo, she had the 5th baby. Mm-hmm. And she was not acting like herself. Like she was kind of irritable, or she would be really quiet, or like she was off. And her husband noticed, and he was like, something's not right with her. But like you said, Adrian, he didn't take it personal. Like it's got to be me. What he did was really clever. He told her like, it seems like you don't feel like yourself. I saw this article in this magazine. It looked pretty cool. You want to check it out with me? And it was about postpartum depression.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What he did was he was like, oh, look, there's a quiz. Let me want to just go through the quiz. He's like, I might be postpartum, like trying to make her feel a little like, like okay with it. And as he asked her the questions, because of course in the beginning she's like, I am not. This is my 5th baby. Like, why would I have a problem right now? Right. And as he asked the questions, she started to open up a little more. And by the time he got to like the 5th or 6th question, she was in full tears. Mm-hmm. So it's about having the patience, you know, with your partner and not giving up and being able to have like resources available and ready for when they are able to open up, because a lot of people are not going to come to you and just be like, you know what, I don't feel like myself.
Right.
And I've had 3 children, and with all 3 of mine, I've experienced postpartum. The first time I was a really young girl, so I did not know what it was. I just knew I wasn't happy. Right. And I thought it was because you're 16 and having a baby. You can't be the happiest ever right now. It's not going the way you planned. But I got educated with my first one. So when my second one came, I had to educate my husband, and I had to do it over a time span because I don't want him to think that I'm just going to be hanging our baby out the window.
Right.
Because he had to go to work. So like, I'm going to be trusting this crazy woman.
Like, everybody going to work with me.
Everybody. So with her, it was a little bit better. And then with my last son, it was the mildest. But I just looked at him and I said, I'm not happy and I'm not sad. So maybe we might want to take something just in case I need something. But it was like being self-aware, me not being ashamed of saying, I ain't all right now. So it's not, women usually get like you're crazy. Right. And if we're not crazy, we hate to be called crazy. But when you're dealing with something like postpartum or any type of mental illness, you can't call me crazy, because then I'm going to shy away from the help. You're not helping by calling me crazy.
Right. That's not creating the safe space. So, chemical
imbalance is going on over here. And trust me, if I could stop it, I would stop it.
Oh my gosh. But like, even if you look like in the news, right? And you were just talking about like the celebrities. Tiffany Haddish, all she did was cut her hair off. And immediately the media was like, she's having a mental breakdown. Something must be
got a movie or something coming. Because that's why Sanaa did it when Sanaa Lathan did it. It was for a movie role.
Exactly. But immediately it was that stigma of she's lost it. And she's like, I was hot. She was like dealing with Black women's hair. Like, it is a lot. I needed a break. She was like, I want to be able to get my hair wet and not think twice about it. Like, I'm not losing it. I'm not on a mental breakdown. I just was tired of doing my hair.
Right. I saw that too. And it was so funny, like, reading the comments, because I'm like, we spoke on this about Black women and hair. And it's just like, why do you guys define us by our hair? Like you said, she just wanted a new look. She wanted a new vibe. She said she wanted to feel her scalp. She's never felt it. How many of us could say, like, we felt it with no hair?
Right.
And the first thing y'all say is she's crazy. And then on the flip side, when, you know, God forbid, things do happen to these celebrities, is why didn't they say anything before? Why didn't they speak out? Because when I cut my hair, you called me crazy. So why would I want to say that I'm dealing with depression or anxiety or anything else when I know you guys are going to be quick to judge me?
Yeah.
Like, this is just, it was crazy. But even in terms of like Tamar Braxton, like, have you guys seen what's going on with her lately? And she's that she basically put out a letter to the station that she's on, and she was saying how she feels like they, you know, violated her, and how she feels like a slave. And then she sent her like family a text message, and then they found her I don't know, at her home or a hotel, like overdosed on pills.
Yeah.
And it's just like this.
As I was reading the comments for Tamar, I love the support that she's receiving now. But what makes me furious about that specific situation is how people are saying, I'm so shocked because I would think she would never have dealt with something like this. Right? So to say that you're shocked and you're so surprised and that you would never. Yes, she came from a huge family. We all know that. They have their own show. Yes, she's very religious. She's been in church her whole life. But that does not mean that she can't individually go through something.
Right.
And so when people, I'm shocked. I'm just I'm outrageous of how she would. And then when people said they're outrageous because she's selfish. When I read that, I was like, she's selfish because she thought at that time that's what she needed to do for her to not have pain anymore. And it didn't have anything to do with her family and her friends and the amount of money. It had to do with her and making peace with that. And again, she has to live with that. We don't.
Right.
We can only support her in that. So I do think that, she does come from a big family, like I said, and does have, been in church her whole life. But it really makes me think, like, no matter the outlets that you try to find, like going to therapy or going to church, you really have to dig deep within yourself and able to pull yourself out of that specific situation.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I also feel like too what you said was really good because people say they're so shocked, and it's like you're shocked that a celebrity who's in the limelight feels this way when your family feels this way. You know what I'm saying? Like we think sometimes, like I said, that these people aren't human and that they don't go through things. And it's like, even us, we've dealt with stuff during COVID. Tons of people became depressed because you're not doing your daily routine. You're not getting up, going outside. You're not getting the sunlight that your body needs, right, to function. You're just sitting in the house, staring at your kids if you got them. Like, it's a lot. It's really a lot. But I think people, I'm shocked that Shawnee would ever feel depressed because every time I see Shawnee, she's smiling.
Right.
Shawnee's human. You know,
right. What you said was funny, so I laughed.
Right. Like, I'm hurting. It's true.
I wanted to also share, the story of Taraji P. Henson. And while I was looking through some of her materials and things, she has openly admitted that she has suffered from anxiety and depression. And one, I think that's phenomenal that she is able to voice where she is in her life. Because one, I think that people don't even say that. They don't even admit to what is going on. So just to hear that from somebody else was inspiring. But what made me really look into her story was that, she has a foundation called the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation, but it's named after her late father, who returned from Vietnam War with mental health issues. So she then in return felt that, lived with it, and decided to do something about that. And whenever I hear her do her interviews and she speaks about the absence of Black therapists and psychiatrists in the workplace, I'm like, wow, you know what? When I do look up that, or when I am looking for a psychiatrist or a therapist or somebody to help me, when I go online, where are the Black therapists? Where are they? Because do you want to feel connected to someone that looks like you versus someone that you feel like lives in a penthouse on Fifth Avenue? Like, you're not going to be, in my experience, you're not going to do that. So when she talks about things like that, I really get moved because I'm like, where are they? When I go online, I don't see that. What do you guys see if you have or haven't looked it up?
Well, for me, I feel like because, like I said, right now, mental health is like really becoming popular in our community, which is wonderful that more people are seeking jobs in this field. When I graduated with my master's in mental health, it was hard for me to even find a job. And it was hard because there were no mental health counselor positions really created in New York City. And I'm like, I don't understand why not when you look around everywhere and people need help. You know what I'm saying? So I just didn't really understand it. But I think what you're talking about is like cultural competency. And it's very true because you want to talk to someone that you feel like you could relate to. Yeah. Like I see these memes online all day when I say like, she with the shits or something like that. Like I want my counselor to know. I don't want to have to break it down. Like what I'm saying is she agrees with me. But then you have people that like Charlemagne the Guy, I think he said his counselor was like an Asian lady. He wanted a completely different perspective on the things that he's going through. So, I mean, I think that we still are needed. I definitely think we need Black mental health counselors, doctors, everybody. But I think it's up to the person in terms of who they want and who they feel comfortable with and what you're looking to get out of it. Because if you're dealing with problems related to men, you may go for a woman counselor. Like it's all dependent upon what you want. But the good thing about that is that you can always go test it out, and if you don't like it, you can leave. You're not obligated to stay with one.
Okay.
Right.
So, if you ain't feeling her, be like, I'm sorry, this isn't working. Like, I don't want to spend my money here no more. That's it.
But listen, Black people, we loyal. We go to the same hairdresser for years. She been messing up for the longest time, and we're like, but I don't want to. I feel bad. But I'm telling you right now, my eyebrow lady can't go. She can't leave me.
That's true.
We have some.
I'm still not that way, and maybe the military has ruined me because I'm like, oh no, we out of here.
Next
I my hard working buddy. Oh no. Oh no, boo boo kitty.
No, that's right.
But back to what you were saying about the wanting a therapist that looks like you. We also run into the problem of when I've had a Black therapist before, and I stopped going to her because I felt like she was still living in the what goes on in this house, stay in this house type of thing.
Oh,
so anytime I said anything, it wasn't validated, it wasn't received. It was just like, you're too old to be mad about. Excuse me?
Right.
No, she did.
We're not here right now. I'm about ready to tear up the world, and you telling me get over it? Okay, I'm gonna get over it.
Oh no.
Yeah, no.
I'm gonna get over you. So there's a balance of our Black therapists have to have a healthy mix of their education, but our life experiences.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah. But right now, any doctor I go to is either Asian or Indian. I don't know why. I don't know why, but that's what it is right now.
Really? Mine's an African.
Really?
Mine is an Indian lady, and I love her. I wouldn't even show her to nobody. Listen, that's my sis. She knows me. And the thing is too about making people feel comfortable, because when I step in there, if I go to her with any question, like some people go to doctors and they don't give them the real.
Right.
Doctors, mental health counselors, they're here to help you. If you're telling me half of a story, how do you expect to get better? And my mother used to always tell me that when I used to go to the doctor, like, I'll be at home with a stomach ache, feeling horrible, and I get to the doctor, she's like, how you feeling? I'm like, I'm fine. And she's like,
why are you here?
You're on the couch, bent over, and now you in front of her, and you like, you good? Like, why'd you stay home from school then? And I'm like, sis, calm down. So now I understand, because if you come to me for counseling and you're not really giving me the full story, it takes time to get there. Like, I'm not expecting in the first session you like spill out your story. But if you're not going to be honest with me and be honest with yourself, you're not going to get nothing out of it. Nothing. You're going to feel this. You're going to come in and feel the same way you feel when you leave. So that's that.
Yeah. We have a few comments I want to share. Mrs. Scott said, because a lot of stuff I heard from Black parents is nothing is wrong with you. You just need to, and then fill in the blanks, which I think is definitely true. Then we had a comment from him as well, or a question. Do you all feel the most of the problems are how we as a culture look at mental health?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. We act like it doesn't exist and just ignore it. It'll go away.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what's great. Yeah, that's what's great about like these generations now, is because we're shown like it is okay when you to say I'm not okay.
Right.
Especially with everything that's going on now with Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. Like I felt away, and I had to like remove myself a little bit from social media because I was getting depressed of the constant killings one after the other, the exploitation of it all over the media. It messes with your psyche. As I always say, is like you have to make sure you take care of yourself mentally, because once the brain goes, you don't got nothing left.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I definitely feel like culturally it's a problem. Like we stated earlier, in Black communities, often we feel like, okay, well, go to church. You pray about
That's the other one.
Pray about it,
pray it out.
You would get better. But it's like, there's nothing wrong with going to church and going to a counselor. It's nothing wrong with doing both. And I think that's something that I had to learn for myself too. Like, it's okay. And I feel like not my family in particular, but just being Black, like you don't want to seem like the eyeball out. Like you don't want to be like, Adrian the one with the problems. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want them passing the gravy at Thanksgiving, whispering about you. So, like, people don't want to say anything about these type of things. And that's what we're trying to stop, right? Like, we want to break the stigmas. We want to make mental health so normal, like just going to your regular doctor. And now when you go to your regular doctor, they ask you questions about mental health. They ask you, are you depressed? Have you felt depressed? Have you felt anxious? Have you felt suicidal? And I think that that's something so great that they do, because if that person, hasn't thought about it before, that might, spark something up. And I'm like, well, you know what? I was feeling a little weird about something, and, just take the time to share it to that doctor, and maybe that's a medical doctor and she can't help you in that, but they could always refer you to places and refer you to people. So I think we as a culture just kind of gotta, do a little bit more.
I think if we can go back to the Jesus thing, I think we've got to get out the mindset of, I love the Lord, okay? I go to him daily.
Amen.
But we have to start understanding that you go to him, and then if something happens, like somebody's like, hey, I'm seeing this counselor, or a counselor's card somehow flies into your lap, let's see that as confirmation.
Okay.
I'm waiting on Jesus. He's not coming down to tell you, hey, go to that guy.
Right.
Sent you signs. Read the signs.
There's going to be confirmation somewhere along the way. God made these people, and he made them so very special to do what they do and be good at what they do. Let's use the resources. Let's not be people in boat waiting for Jesus to rescue them, or people on roofs waiting for Jesus to rescue them, and 12 boats come by.
Right.
And on that,
all the help.
And on that, Ernie, I remember, when I was going through it a lot during this time, I reached out to my pastor because we're not in church, right? And, I can't physically meet with him on Sundays. And he does his virtual. So I said, you know what, let me send him a text message. Let me muster up the courage to send that message. And when I sent it, I was like, I was nervous. I was like, I don't know what he's going to say. I don't know if he's going to be like, his response, though, was like the most perfect response I've ever received, which was, he basically said, I don't have all of the answers, right? Everyone is going through things. I am your pastor, but I can't speak on this subject matter. I can only tell you what God has in store for all of us. And then, he then said, do you mind if I share just your information, not what you're going through, but your information with somebody who is in the church, who's a counselor? And so at first I was like, who this person? Because if I know this person, but then I had to realize, like what Shawnee was saying, we get them from all different directions. So me not even reaching out to him was then me not connecting with somebody who is at my church, who helped me that night, who helped me the next day, and does her check-ins, because there's a lot of processes that's going through with the virtual, but they were able to provide things that I needed that we don't use. A simple "how was your day?" for me at that time was like, wow, someone took the time out to just ask me, how was my day? And today was a good day, and tomorrow when you text me, it may not be a good day.
Right.
It will be the worst day. But I felt like we don't. Sometimes when I go to the doctor, I could be perfectly honest. Sometimes I go to the doctor and I straight be lying, like, because the first question, the first question would be like, I think the surveys sometimes need to change. They'll be like, number 1, have you thought about suicide? I'm like,
I said, gay.
Okay, ease into that. Jeez.
Or how often have you thought about this? Have you been in bed? And I'm like, wow. Like, so for me, it's like, if I check that box and that's the first question, when I pass back my survey, then I'm like, well, what's going to happen? Are they going to look at me like, okay, we need to see her immediately? Or are they going to be like, all right, we could put her on the waiting list of needs? So I don't want to be prioritized.
Right.
I feel like when people start asking questions, in their mind, they're putting me in categories of like the need of support, when actually I feel like the first step for me is just checkups.
Yeah.
Which we don't do enough of. Everything always has to, you either want something from somebody or you feel like like they need something sometimes. Like a hey, how you doing, girl, could turn into like, oh, what she want?
Right.
I just want to know, girl, I'm checking on you. What's going on? It's been a week. Hey, but it's like in the culture, it's like when somebody reaches out, we need something, and you don't want to be bothered. So,
yeah. Well, let's not even like front though. There are some people who just call you just to talk about themselves.
Right.
How you doing, girl? Like, I'm fine. So what happened to me was blah 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 blah. I was like, okay, well at least you asked how I was doing this time.
Seriously.
We
got a comment.
Yeah, we got a comment from Dion Adams. Growing up, for some reason, mental health was looked at as a weakness instead of a real actual problem affecting a lot of us. And being from the hood, you do not want to show any vulnerabilities. I'm glad more awareness is being brought to our attention, especially as minorities.
Yes,
absolutely.
I think that's pretty much spot on, right? Because for Black men, that's a whole different ball game, right? Because they're seen as providers, they're seen as the head of household. So if they go and they say that, I'm depressed, I can't get through the week, your wife is looking at you like, you what? You know what I'm saying? Like,
suck it up, buttercup,
and do what you gotta do. And it's like, he's not weak. Why is it that you could go through this and he can't? Right. And I think that's a thing that people don't stop to think about, because again, they're human. Men are human too. Men have emotions too. Men deal with the same problems that we deal with.
Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say. So I think that that's a big thing with Black men, that they think they'll be deemed as weak if they say like, I feel like I'm depressed this week, or I've been having these anxious thoughts and I can't get out of bed. I think that's what's like stopping them from really saying that they need help.
Yeah.
I do feel like we need to, and some women may not like this because we give life and all this wonderful stuff, right? But I think we need to cater to men more, because from a little, and I raised my son very different, but from a little boy, they're taught, if you fall and skin your knee, that don't hurt, don't cry, you're a punk. You can't cry. You can't. So this man at 30-something, 20-something loses a parent or a grandparent and he refuses to cry. And then his wife is like, why isn't he crying? He didn't care. And it's like, no, men were bred to believe that they can't have an emotional side. We have to start changing really what we define as a man, because then the man that's around here punching people in the eye, then we're talking about, oh my God, why can't he get in touch with his vulnerable side? It's like, it's because his mother socked him in his chest when he did something wrong.
Right.
And told him not to cry.
Mm-hmm.
And then things stem from that, and the way, like, so I think men need to actually be catered to and loved on a little bit more, so they can show those sides and feel like it's okay to not be okay.
I feel like since we're in the realm of talking about like men and women and how they interact with each other in relationships in terms of mental health, Shawnee, like, what would be some ways that you could think of that, if I had a partner who had a mental illness, like, how can I help them? How can I encourage them to kind of seek the help that they need?
Well, first I would say educating yourself on what is going on with them would be like the best thing. Like, I mean, if they already know that, they are bipolar or whatever, educate yourself on the illness so that when they do have triggering moments and stuff like that, methods that can help ease them through those moments.
Right.
And they who are suffering, but they don't know what it is. And like I said, everyone's not going to come to you and be like, hey, I don't feel like myself or whatever. Right. But it's you, again, paying attention to your partner, like what Ernie was saying, like, loving on them and, creating these safe spaces.
Yeah.
Where you can ask like certain questions. Like, I mean, I feel like something's not right. I don't know. Do you feel away? Is there anything wrong? Can I help you with something? Like, and just let them know, like, I'm here for you. Because sometimes that's what people need too, to know that, okay, when I do decide to open up, you're not going to judge me.
Right.
Or, categorize me into like this certain, put me in a box. And well, okay, that's just her issue. You actually want to help me. So I think that's also important. And I think it's also knowing yourself, right? Knowing that maybe there are certain things that maybe you might have trouble helping them with, because it could be triggers and things for you. Absolutely. So if you're both battling things at the same time, you're going to keep, clashing, and nobody's getting the help that they need. Right. So when they do have episodes or things happen, it's, it's good that you're able to recognize it and not take it personally. And then you can help them maybe through like daily routines or, anything that can help like subside, what's happening. And then I think my last thing would probably be like letting them know that there are many options out there for treatment. It's not always going to be going on medication, because some people won't admit, like, I feel this way, but I do not want to take pills.
Right.
Right.
So if you let them know, like, there are other ways that this can be handled, then they might be able to be more receptive of receiving help.
Yeah. I definitely agree. I feel like what you said was really good. And if I was dealing with something, I went through like my own depression to the point where like I was sitting on the couch all day and I didn't want to do anything. And I have that safe space with my boyfriend where I was able to tell him, like, I don't feel like myself. I don't feel good. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to go anywhere. But again, I had that safe space. But like you said, it's also important to show your partner that you care and that you're there. Sometimes I just needed him to be on the couch with me. Right. Like, literally just sitting next to me, holding me or whatever. I just needed him there with me. But on top of that, like you said, take interest in it and maybe come up with some things. I love the idea that you said the guy did on Blackish, where he found an article. And he tried to make it light because he didn't want to pile it on her, right?
Right.
But it still got the job done. Like, they went through the questions and she figured out that she needed help. And not every situation is going to be severe. Like, I know myself and I know when I'm feeling down and I know ways to get out of it. Like, I know things that I need to do. Sometimes I don't do it because I'm stubborn. But, like, I know what to do, right? Like, sometimes we
know self-aware.
But we don't do them. So it's like I was able to pull myself out of that, but not everybody's going to be able to pull themselves out of that state. So if you aren't strong enough as a partner to do that too, then yeah, you have to seek outside sources to help you. Because it's nothing wrong with saying, I don't know how to deal with my partner going through this. I need help. There's nothing wrong with saying that either. Right. So I definitely feel like the information you gave was like really good. Really good.
I think it's always about accepting hardships and taking the time to heal. When you said especially, it's like with you, and then now you're in a relationship. So then how do you put a time limit on that, right? So personally, I'm always, when I go through tough things, I tend to work. So I want to go to work. I want to be active. I want to be busy. Give me time limits. Give me, like small accolades, finish this project. I'm done. Oh my God, I feel so much better. What can I do next? Right. But then am I taking the time to heal within myself and then within my relationship? Because then when you see someone else that's struggling, you're like, okay, I give them a week. I give them a month. I give them, what if it's 6 months to be back together? Are you still going to be there for them or with them when they're still going through? Like earlier when you guys talked about postpartum, like you can't put a time limit on that. You can't say 1 week, I'm going to feel better. And just like how you said, Ernie, it comes with various children.
Right.
And people go through things that I feel like we don't really take the time to deal with it, to heal, and to know that we also, for me, is knowing that even when you go through something like small accomplishments or achievements, I'm like, oh, today I feel good. A month I got this accomplished. A week I got that accomplished. A year from now, I was very different than I was a year from now, even 2-3 years from now. So even realizing that is very hard. But please take the time to heal and do what you have to do, because I think we tend to forget that even exists, but I'm not sure why.
Right.
One thing I do want to say is we also have to be aware that even though you may want to help somebody because you see it, you may not be the best person for that.
Amen.
Sometimes you just have to say what you're going to say and back all the way up and let somebody else come in and take it the rest of the way. You can't be offended. You can't say, well, I'm your best friend. I'm your husband. I'm your wife. I'm supposed to help because you're the closest person to me. So I'm going to lash out at you. I'm going to do all these. Like, just know that every job ain't your job. And you have to be okay with that.
So that is not your assignment.
That part. So ladies, you guys know that every week we tell our viewers they can write into us. So someone wrote me and they wanted to know, should I be dating if I have a mental illness? I feel like I'd be a burden and bring the other person's life down. So what do you ladies say to that?
I think for me, I think, yes, you should be dating. You are self-aware. If you are on medication, you're taking your medication, you're being responsible, you're getting the help, then absolutely you should be dating. Don't put that kind of stigma on yourself that you don't deserve love, because everyone deserves that, you know? I would say you should definitely be upfront with someone that you're dating or a partner. You know, that's not something you spring on people, you know, 6 months to a year down the line. Right. You know, give them a chance to figure out if they can handle, you know, what's going on with you. And when you have an episode, are they going to be able to help you? Because again, you want to be with someone who's going to be with you through this, not someone who's just going to run out the moment, you know, you may have forgotten your medication and you need some other kind of treatment until you can get your medication again.
Right.
You know, so please don't think that you can't, you know, not date. You definitely can. Just, you know, be honest. And like I said, being self-aware is like the first part, and you're doing that. So go for it.
I would say date and also communicate the needs that you feel like you need and let the other person know. I think the biggest issue or the biggest problems that you can have is hiding behind closed doors when you are dating, or if she is in a relationship at that time. So just let that person know, and then just tell them, you know, the things that you need, that you feel like are relevant to what's going on with you, and just allowing that door of communication.
Yep.
Yeah.
Basically the same thing. I feel like if you're dating, yeah, fine. Once we start getting into the serious dating and where the first I love you is said, we got to have a conversation, because then it's kind of like catfishing somebody.
Right.
But then also, you don't know if somebody wants, like, I'm very serious about my gene pool. I just don't want to be mixing and mingling with just anybody else's gene pool. Okay. So it's unfair for you not to tell somebody like, hey, this is a history in my family. Can you handle this? Because I might pass this on to somebody.
Yeah. I think Ernie, that was such a great point, right? Because some people don't even look that far down, right? Like children, this could potentially happen with them as well. And that's not to say that that's nothing that you guys can't get through, right? Like you don't have to end love because of that.
Yeah. Right.
But it's always good to give the person an option to say whether or not that's something that they want, because you don't want it to be 3 years later and then you just tell him like, listen, you know, I have schizophrenia, and now he's like, oh no, I'm packing my stuff and I gotta leave.
Right.
Whereas if you told him in the beginning, maybe now he'll start the research, he'll do a little bit more planning, and now he understands what's going on. And also, I think with dating, I feel like that person should you know, look stuff up, but because you are the person who has the mental illness, it's good for you to teach them too, right? Like teach them directly, because we can learn through text, but what the text says is not the same thing that you may be doing at home. So he's reading like it says she's gonna, you know, be sleepy all the time, when it could be the total opposite, where you're always on 1,000. He's like, I don't understand what's going on right now. Right. You know what I'm saying? So if you do have a mental illness, I think, you know, having those open and honest conversations will definitely be the best way to go about things, because, you know, it helps the relationship as far as like knowing what to expect.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and also, like, worst case scenario, if that person does, after you finally tell them and they do leave you, it's going to hurt, but it's the best thing for you. You shouldn't be with somebody that's not willing to or feels like they can't handle your situation. You don't need any distractions while trying to get your mental health in order. So if that person leaves, it sucks. but you got to push forward because you need somebody that's going to be able to know how to speak to you or get you to a certain place when you're having whatever type of episode you're having.
Right.
Well, this is, very, very large, and we are fortunate to have 2 parts. So this is part 1, and next week we'll be coming back on Sunday at 7 again on Facebook Live to talk about part 2. And so I really thought about this, so bear with me later. Because how can I throw in a game when it's mental health, right? How can I make it fun or make it interesting? But something I really thought about is coping, and how do we cope with mental health, right?
Oh, yes.
And I said, Shante, how do you cope? And then I was like, I cope by eating snacks. So today I wanted to, we're going to go back again to play either or, but it's the snack edition.
Okay.
So I have some snacks because I do think that, again, what I said, coping, we can talk about this next week as well, but how do we cope with it personally, and what do we do in order to help us get through?
Right.
So the first thing I have...
One second. Before we do that, everybody that is watching us on our individual watch parties, we want you to play with us also. So please go to the Herview page so we can see your comments.
Yes, thank you.
Please. And you can also make your choice with your either or. So the first one is Snickers or Skittles?
Snickers.
Snickers.
Frozen Snickers.
So we can't talk about it? Like, we can't say why again?
We can talk about it.
Oh, we can talk now?
You want to know why?
I mean, I don't really need to talk about this one anyway. I just want to, clear it up. I'm going to go with Snickers.
That's a whole meal.
Yeah.
Hello?
Snickers. Dion, what he said, we got 1 for Snickers.
Frozen or unfrozen? Let's see if you're really a Snicker fan.
Right?
Frozen or unfrozen, Dion.
Regular. Next one, we have oatmeal raisin cookies or white macadamia nut cookies.
White macadamia nut. I do not like oatmeal.
I'm not choosing. I'm not. They're my 2 number 1s.
Yeah.
I thought we was here.
I don't want to go with neither one, but I have to pick one, right? So I'm going to go with oatmeal.
Okay. I'm going with oatmeal. Ernie, I'll give you a pass on this one. I'll give you a pass. You say,
You got some comments.
Dion, he says unfrozen. And then we got another one here. Thank you, Clausen. She says she's here for the Snickers.
Ain't nobody picking Skittles.
Right?
Okay, so now we're moving into cakes. Chocolate or vanilla cake?
Vanilla.
Chocolate.
Ooh, vanilla.
Red velvet.
That's chocolate, right?
That's a chocolate. We're going to go with that one.
Red chocolate.
Okay. So red velvet. Okay. We got vanilla for another win. Okay.
Okay, Dion, you're back on my good graces.
So we have brownies or cupcakes?
Brownies.
Cupcakes.
But only brownie crust. I don't like the middle. Give me the hard piece.
Oh.
No, I love the middle.
We can share a batch of brownies.
Okay.
We are perfect.
Okay.
Well, I guess I'm not sharing because I want the whole brownie and I want some vanilla ice cream on top of it and I want to heat it up. Okay. Levels to this.
We got brownies, the corners.
Dion's my soulmate.
Cupcakes. We got cupcakes in here. So the last one that I have is not really a snack, but it's a liquid, something to drink. I say tea or hot chocolate.
Tea.
Oh, for me, hot chocolate.
You look so disappointed.
Right.
Like nobody wants
No one's going to pick that.
Well, I'm not sure. It's because my whole life, my grandmother is a coffee drinker. So I think for her, I saw her drinking coffee and I wanted to make something that was equivalent. So for me, it was close to, hot chocolate, and everyone knows my morning routine as a teacher. My students know that I don't drink coffee, but in the morning, they know when I come in the morning and I start my day that if I haven't had my hot chocolate yet,
oh my God.
so Miss Hallett, did you drink it yet? And I'm like,
That's part of the mental thing, because your grandma probably was like, "Don't talk to me. I haven't had my coffee."
Mhm.
Right.
You adapted that and was like, "Don't talk to me. I haven't had my Swiss Miss."
Right. The Christmas.
We got tea in here. We have tea in there. Well, thank you guys so much for that. But you're right. It's generational, and we learn different things. So when I do drink the hot chocolate, my kids know that as a routine. I try to teach them, like, whatever you need to do to start your morning off, do it for yourself. So for me, that's something I need to start my morning off. And unfortunately, some of my students come from very, very difficult families and backgrounds or situations, and they come in at 7:30 or 8 o'clock already on the go. And so for me, I always allow them at least 5 to 10 minutes in the beginning of their day to just unpack, unwind, and do the things that they need to do. Because it's hard and it's difficult to start one that early, but to know that they have all of these expectations to be perfect. So as I'm drinking my, hot chocolate, I'm like, okay, if you didn't have breakfast yet, have your breakfast. If you need to take a few minutes to unpack, take that and do what you need to do. But thank you, ladies, so much. I've really enjoyed myself this week. So we will be coming back once again next week at 7 for part 2.
Please make sure you tune in. We're going to talk mental health again, and it's going to get good.
I'm excited.
On Apple Podcast as well. You can check us out there. And Ernie, can you please remind them what to do on the live, on the Facebook Live?
The watch parties.
Watch parties.
Oh, watch parties. Everyone, please head over to the Herview page and leave your comments there.
Yes. Thank you so much, everybody. And we will see you next Sunday at 7. Don't be late.
Bye.
And 4 p.m. West Coast. They forget about me. 4 p.m. West Coast.
We coast to coast, baby.
Comment, then it gets real popping.
Thank you for tuning into our video. If you've liked what you've seen, go ahead and like, comment, and share. Don't forget to give us a big thumbs up. If you want to keep up with our content and be in the know whenever we post, click that subscribe button and hit that bell so you'll be notified as soon as we drop new videos. Thanks for watching. Bye.